So, ladies and gentlemen, today I have a very beautiful delight here. And this beautiful delight's name is Dr. Andrew Dutta. And he is the master, and I'm telling you, he's the master of masters of KP astrology. And I heard about him also from Simon Chokwisky, who is actually hosting Dr. Andrew Dutta in a September, I think, or May.
In May.
In May, in Philadelphia. So I'm like, hey, if he mentioned it, I've got to bring him on. So welcome to KRSchannel.
Thank you, Kapiel ji.
Absolutely. So I actually emailed you the first time, and I'm like, Dr. Andrew, we're doing Vedic astrology here, Parashari astrology here. And here you are, the absolute expert of KP. And I wanted to get you to show us the Vedic astrology, the Parashara astrologers, to just apply even simple techniques of KP to really see the magic of KP, to simplify it. Because I know it's a very deep subject, and you have to have months and months of courses on it. But because I know only you have the ability to really show us the simple things so we can just see the beauty of KP astrology and how it kind of differentiate, yet at the same time can merge in our parashara.
Yeah, thank you, Kapiel ji, for beautifully linking the Vedic astrology and KP astrology together. And I think that people who have prior knowledge of Vedic astrology are much better placed to quickly pick up KP astrology and KP astrology based prediction. Just to say very briefly about KP astrology, which is Krishnamurti Paddhati, it is a very simple technique of prediction. Sometimes people feel that this is a completely different system of astrology, which is not right. It is just another Indian system of prediction. So it uses the same 9 planets, 9 grahas as Vedic astrologers use. The significations and karakas of the 12 bhavas or the 12 houses are just the same as in Vedic astrology, is the same in KP astrology. The 12 signs or the Rashi significations, the karakas, the 27 nakshatra delineations are all same in KP astrology. The only difference lies in the manner in which prediction is arrived at. So in KP astrology, the KP astrologer uses only one single birth chart called as the Placidus house division chart, which is like what we call as the Chalit chart or the Bhava chart.
Yeah.
It is just one chart which is used, and the cuspal degrees of each of the houses are the beginning point for the houses. They are not the Bhava Madhya, but they are the Bhava beginning. And what happens in KP astrology is that every 30-degree sign has been broken down into the usual 27 stars. So 13 degree, 20 minutes. Up to that, it's same. And what K.S. Krishnamurti did was he just kind of invented, he just discovered that combination where he broke down every star of 13 degree, 20 minutes into 9 unequal proportions, the proportions being the same formula which is used for Vimshottari Mahadasha. So for every planet, there is a sign lord, there is a star lord, and there is a subdivision lord, which in KP parlance is called as the sublord. For every bhava, that is every bhava beginning, there is a sign lord, there is a star lord, and there is a sublord. So the beauty is, those who are having a Vedic astrology background, for example, if they have to use KP to speak about marriage, then they simply start with the 7th bhava sublord. let's say seventh bhava, sublord. So instead of the seventh lord, the KP astrologer straight away goes to the third level, which is a more specific and precise level, which is the sublord level, and he sees, okay, seventh bhava, Kaspal sublord, let's say it is Saturn. So he starts with that, Saturn as a planet. Now, for a KP astrologer who does not know the nature, character, and the quality of the Graha Saturn, which a Vedic astrologer knows very well, a KP astrologer, to me, in my experience of teaching so many students, I have seen a guy who is more thorough with the knowledge of Saturn through his knowledge of Vedic astrology is quickly able to grasp immediate signification. Oh, seventh of sublord is Saturn. Well, there might be little delay in marriage. Then he links up Saturn. He looks at Saturn's star lord. Let's say Saturn's star lord is Jupiter. So Saturn, who is a deep thinker, and Jupiter, who is a wise man. You know, I'm just taking the keywords.
Yeah.
So he can quickly link and blend. So this blending ability is enormous for a Vedic astrologer who gets into KP. Whereas the newcomer who has no prior knowledge of astrology, he can also reach that level, but he has to do that extra effort.
Extra effort. Okay. Now, whenever you say, you know, the words like Kaspal sublord, for us, we are like, oh man, that's complicated. Okay, so how do we find Kaspal sublord? What is it? Kaspal sublord is simply you're looking at the Kaspal degree of that house and who's the nakshatra lord of that Kaspal degree, right?
Yes, you are very correct. We look at the nakshatra lord, but then every nakshatra has been broken down or subdivided into further 9 divisions.
So you're looking at that particular planet at that division, that degree point.
Okay. Exactly. So the first layer is the sign, the second layer is the nakshatra, and within every nakshatra, there are 9 subdivisions. So we look so specifically into that, and that requires very accurate birth time.
Yeah.
If birth time varies by 2 minutes, 36 seconds, the smallest sub of sun, which is 40 seconds of arc, it is going to change.
It's going to change, yeah.
Yes. So
then let me also ask you, in such case, does it become a very tedious process to make sure that the birth time is correct before you go on with the reading? Or is it you look at the omen as the fact that, okay, they gave me this time and that is the omen that the chart is coming to me at, and that's the time that they gave me, I'm going to go by that?
Yes, you are correct. You're largely correct in your understanding, Kapilji. Along with subdivision, K.S. Krishnamurti also gave another thing to us, which was the concept of ruling planets. So for example, right now when I'm giving you the interview, the ruling planets in my location in Bhubaneswar is, I'm right now running the Lagna of Mars, which is right now Aries Lagna is going on. The Lagna star lord is the Venus. My moon right now is in Mercury sign and Rahu star, and the day lord is Sun. So I have my ruling planets as the Venus, Mars, Rahu, Mercury, and Sun. So what happens the moment we receive a birth horoscope and we cast the birth chart, we see whether the birth cuspal position, that is the first Lagna, sign lord, Lagna star lord, and Lagna sublord, are these matching with my present ruling planets? And if there is a match, it is considered as it's God's will, it's God's wish that right at this point, I take up the chart and I do the prediction. So you are correct, there is an omen, and the omen is a very scientifically devised omen.
Yeah. Okay. So in a way, when you look at, you can then simply look at the ascendant star lord And if that ascendant star lord is ruled by Saturn, then you pretty much know that in this person's life, most of the things will be delayed. Is that something how you perceive the chart as well?
Yes, we do look at the star lord, but we would not look at the bare star lord. Whenever a KP astrologer has to make a analysis of a life event or a life situation or some psychological attributes of the person, we always start with the bhava sublords.
Bhava sublords, the small little divisions within the
Exactly.
one nakshatra. See, I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that because when you say star lord, I'm my Vedic parashara goes straight to this nakshatra lord. And
Yes.
that's why I like it that okay, you keep telling me that no, it's a sublord. It's just that
Yes.
one nakshatra will have 9 divisions. Go to that actual division.
Exactly. And we do go to the star lord, but first we catch hold of the sublord. So let's say we want to understand a person's psychological makeup. So we look at the Lagna Bhava sublord, that is the ascendant sublord, and check who is that planet. Let's say it is Mars, and it is, so now we take Mars and we check Mars is in the star of which planet. So Lagna Bhava sublord is Mars, and let's say Mars is in the star of Rahu. So now one can blend the effect of Mars and Rahu together. Plus, since we are looking at the psychological makeup and the psychological attributes of a person, in the Indian system, as you know, we have a lot of emphasis on moon. We look at the moon's sublord, and we see moon sublord in which star. So let's say moon's sublord is Ketu, and Ketu is in Venus star. So we need to blend the effect of Mars and Rahu together with Ketu and Venus. So we make an analysis, and
That's a very dangerous person right there.
exactly. See, you got it. You got it. Okay, so that's the way exactly how we do.
Okay.
Yeah, so perfect, Kapil. You just got that. Yeah.
And like you were saying, it is Placidus houses, not the Lahiri Ayanamsha that goes about. It's a different Ayanamsha.
True, exactly. Because K.S. Krishnamurti ji, he created his own Ayanamsha, which is 6 minutes, which has a 6 minutes of difference from Lahiri. And if you for house division, for Placidus house division in closer to the equator, the latitudes closer to the equator, you would hardly find maybe 2 or 3 bhavas sublord with changes with this Ayanamsha change. And there are many practitioners, even before me, people who have practiced, they have found equally good result with Lahiri Ayanamsha. And when it comes to Placidus, yes, those of us who are practicing here in India, and we get Indian clients with the birth latitude near the equator, Placidus, or for that matter, any other house divisions work very well. But when I get my clients from northern latitudes, from US and Europe, I usually move to topocentric house division, because that is much better in terms of the trisection that happens from the MC and the ascendant. That trisection, research shows that topocentric is much better in northern latitudes. And something which I do myself, I know that is not what has been written in the KP books, but many a times KP practitioners forget that Placidus house division and topocentric house division are divisions of space. Whereas when we are doing Horari or a Prashna chart, it is much better to do Regiomontanus house division, because that is a division of time.
Okay.
but that's specifically which I
So you're
learned.
separating time and space in those.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So the KP books say whether Horari or whether birth chart, go for Placidus, go for KPI and Amsha, which is absolutely good. There is nothing wrong. You will still get the correct answers. But that is true in the Indian belt because K.S. Krishnamurti was based in India and a large majority of his birth horoscopes that he gave out in his readers and in astrology and Atrishta magazine, they are all based in India. He could not get a chance to do research on northern latitudes, but Western astrologers have done a phenomenal and fantastic job of research on house division. And I tend to take up the best of the research happening in all the other parts of the world so that ultimately I serve my clients well.
Okay. And in this KP astrology, have you also studied the character and the mythology of the nakshatra themselves?
Yes.
Like the meaning of the nakshatra, what this nakshatra can do, or are you simply focusing towards the sublord directly?
Yes. The original teachings of K.S. Krishnamurti actually talks about that when we are moving from the sublord to the nakshatra of the sublord, a detailed analysis and understanding of the nakshatra as it is, like Ashwini. So, the horse twins, the Ashwini brothers, what is their nature and character? That has a very important role to play in the delineation of the horoscope. That has been his original teaching. But these days we find a lot of KP astrologers in the hurry of making prediction, they tend to use, okay, sublord and the sublord. So sublord is Saturn, it is in the star of Jupiter, and therefore Saturn and Jupiter. No,
Okay.
it's not like that. It's not like that. Saturn is in the star of Punarvasu. So Saturn in Punarvasu star not only blends the result of Jupiter, it also blends the result of the star Punarvasu, which is an entity by itself. And this is such a original and authentic teaching of K.S. Krishnamurti. I keep on
Wow.
emphasizing.
So I'm amazed actually, because this whole time I was thinking that Krishnamurti simply taught about go directly to the planets. This is the house predictions and give the prediction. I didn't realize that he was actually going into the whole mythology of the nakshatra, like Saturn in Punarvasu may have them go through many downfalls and then come back up again to.
Exactly. And Kapilji, I'm liking your way of analysis so much. You are immediately catching what I'm saying. And
Yes, like Saturn in Punarvasu
honestly,
wants to construct buildings and real estate.
honestly, you can be a fantastic KP astrologer.
That's why I bought the master
I'm not
here to learn
exaggerating. I'm
from.
saying the truth. You know,
Like
you're
Saturn in Ashwini, you can see the person may fall off a horse or get a car accident.
Absolutely. And more so if it is the eighth cusp sublord.
Eighth
Okay.
cusp sublord, yes.
So it's a
Wow.
beautiful way of connecting KP astrology. And the Vedic astrologers have a tremendous advantage already with them.
Wow. One thing, and I want to go back now into this conversation where, how did you get started? Did you start with Parashri astrology, or you were like in KP from the start? And how did you get into the world of Jyotish?
Okay. My first Guruji, Jyotish Jogi, he was a mixed kind of an astrologer who used to use a lot of Vedic astrology along with the stellar system, like nakshatra. So he taught me the fundamentals of the Vedic astrology with the birth chart and the Navamsha charts and the Ashtaka Varga, and how to use this to quickly arrive at a prediction and the Vimshottari Mahadasha. And he was the one who emphasized a lot in knowing the planets, knowing the bhavas, the rashis, the qualities of the nakshatra. So he was the one who really got me into that. And frankly speaking, he did not teach me too much of the different Varga charts or different other aspects of Vedic astrology, such as the different dasha system. He only taught me the Vinshottari dasha. But he was the one who said that what I have taught you, if you have to go one step further into much more refinement, then you must learn KP astrology. And my own Guruji, Jyotish Yogi, he was the first person who introduced me to the 6 readers of K.S. Krishnamurti. And I still remember in January 2001, in the book fair of Calcutta, I went and I searched for those books in the book fair, and I purchased all the 6 readers. So I was into Vedic astrology, but only at that level where I could practice commercially, because my first Guruji, he's still alive. He had 40 years of commercial practice in a jewelry store of Calcutta, which is a very famous jewelry store, MP Jewelers.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally groomed me from day one how to be a good commercial astrologer, how to be an honest commercial astrologer. And he said, look, there are a lot of things to learn, but I'll teach you those which you can use and which you can really get results of.
Like practical astrology.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where I learned the practical aspects of Vedic astrology without getting into the theoretical and the entire discourse. Instead of going into the entire discourse, he kept me limited to certain things, but that gave me a solid grip over the foundations of planet, rashis, and bhavas and nakshatras.
What was your guru's opinion when he was teaching you? What was his opinion on the Navamsha chart? What was the Navamsha chart according to him?
What he used to do with the Navamsha chart, he used to use that as an additional chart to understand the second layer of the fate and fortune of the person. For example, let's say the Rashi chart shows exalted sun. Now, just by looking at exalted sun, there will be, graces from authority and government tie-ups and all those. Before he said that, he used to look at the Navamsha chart and he used to use that as a second hidden layer of meaning. And he used to show that, look, even though sun is exalted here, sun is in, let's say, Capricorn, or sun is debilitated. So he used to show those effects, and he used to say that you have to blend the two together. So his Navamsha, his usage of Navamsha, other than for marriage purposes, he used to use that as a second layer of analysis to corroborate or to make sure that his statements are properly measured.
Okay. And did he use Navamsha as a soul chart also, or he always blended in? Like, how some astrologers actually just use Navamsha only. They won't even look at the birth chart. So did he use any techniques where he's like, okay, so these are the techniques just for Navamsha, and these are for the birth chart? Anything that he showed you as like a hidden technique?
Okay. What he told me about the different Varga charts was that the Rashi chart is the fundamental basis on which different other Varga charts are derived. So all Varga charts are derivative charts. And he says that Navamsha, the Dashamsha, Trishamsha, and the Shashtiamsha. He says that these charts are very strong in their effects. Although they are derived out of very smaller and smaller parts of the Rashi chart, he says that Navamsha is the next most important chart that you must see right there when you're facing your client. But he always said that the Rashi chart is the predominant chart. There will be variations that will emerge out of the other Varga charts, but it will never supersede the Rashi chart, because the Rashi chart is the prime chart. From the Rashi chart, other Varga charts are getting derived. So that was his thought. And probably that came out of his experience. So what I have done is I usually focus on the Rashi chart more and look at the Navamsha chart just to see if there are any major counter effects.
So let's say if you were to see, like you were giving me the sun, let's say you saw a debilitated sun in the birth chart, but saw exalted sun in Navamsha, what kind of a calculation you'll be doing in your mind as an astrologer?
Okay, what I would come up with is I would say that in life the person is going to face difficulties from authorities or government officials or government department. But even though something bad is going to happen, something negative might happen, ultimately it's going to be in favor of the person.
Okay. Okay.
Because at the back end there is a positive sun which is supporting. So yes, negative is going to happen, but it's not going to crush him down. Something good is going to emerge out of that initial negative.
So all the crushing in the life that they face from authorities, eventually they reap the good results of all that hardship.
Yes, yes. And this I use more at a initial level to have an overall understanding of the chart, because all 9 planets and the combinations that exist, and this I use along with my KP knowledge, because then I would look at the 12th cusp and the 8th cusp, because any problem that would occur to these person can be understood from the 8th cusp sublord and the 12th cusp sublord. If I find that both the 8th cusp sublord and the 12th cusp sublord have a relationship between Sun and Saturn, they might be opposing, they might be conjunct, one might be in each other's star, and either Sun or either Saturn, they are signifying 8 and 12 houses as well as the 11th house, then I'm very sure that some problem from authorities are going to happen. There are going to be some initial losses and troubles, but the person is going to tide out from that crisis.
Okay. One of the other interesting thing that you said early on is that using Ashtakvarga KP. Now I know in KP you have like black and white results that either it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. So in that case, how will you blend this, this subcategory of Ashtakvarga while you're doing the KP analysis?
Okay. Ashtaka is specifically used for analyzing transits. Many astrologers, they use Ashtaka to make a natal analysis, which might be a very good idea, but originally Ashtaka was designed for analyzing the effects of transits.
Okay.
And the transits will never supersede the effects of the Vimshottari, Mahadasha, Bhukti, and the Antara.
Oh.
So how I do it is, let's say I want to find out the timing and the quality of marriage, not marriage life, but the quality of marriage. So I find out the timing through the KP method, and I try to arrive at a sizable portion of the timing, let's say a 3-month time range. Now, in these 3 months, I would look at the Ashtaka chart of the person, and I would see that is the client's Mahadasha, Bhukti, and Antara, on which Rashis they are transiting in these 3 months, and whether the Ashtaka Vargas have a powerful points, the positive bindus. So I know that yes, marriage is going to happen in these 3 months, and if there are powerful bindus, it's going to be all pomp, show, and a lot of fun and frolic. But if the positive bindus are very less, they might have trouble maybe they will have to prioritize a couple of things during the marriage. Maybe they'll have to leave something. So I don't use that as a primary source of my decision. I use it as a secondary source of decision. And not always. When I see that the Dasha, Bhukti, and Antra are not very compatible planets, like let's say Sun Mahadasha, Shani Bhukti, and let's say Mars Antra.
Uh-huh.
That is Mahadasha, Antardasha, and Pratyantar Dasha. So Sun, Saturn, Mars, like three together, it's not a very compatible, or they do not really blend well. And so
yeah, and they don't even signify marriage as much as Venus and Jupiter and Moon might.
Exactly. And the Dasha lords are not very favorable to each other. Like Sun and Mars are okay, but in between there is Saturn. So I would like to then corroborate with another additional piece of information. It's much like a doctor who tests a patient and sees his eyes and checks his blood pressure. But if he thinks that a blood test is necessary, he might do a small blood test and be assured. So a good astrologer must have a lot of tools in his equipment. And I always tell in my classes that, look, I'm not teaching you how to use a screwdriver. I'm not teaching you how to use a saw. You have to be a very good carpenter.
Carpenter, yeah.
Yes, you must know how to make a very good table and a chair. And for that, you need to know how to use all the tools.
All the tools. See, in Vedic astrology, we may do a blood test, but with KP, I think you do a colonoscopy. That's what you're doing. You're going straight to the root.
Absolutely. Truly speaking. I like your sense of humor, Kapiel Ji.
See, 5 minutes with me and that's it. It's over. Done. Now, like, let's say I've been using Lahiri Ayanamsha for what now? 15 years now.
Yes.
And when I'm thinking about KP, I'm like, yes, I see all these literally magicians coming out from the KP sector. But, for me, what happens is for a Parashri learner, when I'm switching my Ayanamsha from Lahiri to KP, and then that Bhava Chalit chart changes, then I'm just like, I feel confused as a student of KP, like wanting to learn KP, because my whole brain, left and right brain, both are saying, no, do the Lahiri, use the Lahiri position of the planet. That's going to give you the results. But then KP is saying this. Okay, so then KP is giving me this time period. My Lahiri Ayanamsha is giving this period. Is there a way for a person like me and thousands of others to not feel confused and be happy to blend in the KP method with what we have? It's pretty much like embedded in us, psychologically, always Lahiri. Do you find the students like me who might say, Dr. Andrew, I'm so confused. What do I do here?
Yes, that confusion is very natural, and it's very real. That's a very real confusion.
Yeah.
Very, very honestly, what I'm going to say now is it's sacrilegious in terms of KP. What I'm going to say now, when I do birth time rectifications, I find a large majority of people, they ask me to send their rectified birth horoscopes in Lahiri Ayanamsha.
Okay.
And right from the beginning, when I do the birth time rectification, although I use KP method, I do use the Lahiri Ayanamsha. Because over years of research, Lahiri Ayanamsha has been seen to be giving a better percentage of correct prediction. And when we do KP, it is just a matter of choice. To me, it is just a matter of choice to use KP Ayanamsha or Lahiri Ayanamsha, because I have n number of cases with me where I have used Lahiri Anamsha. Sublord has changed, maybe a few sublords have changed.
Mhm.
I have made prediction, and the prediction has turned out to be correct. Whereas
Wow.
whereas using a KP, when I recheck back, when people write to me, you are correct. I check back my records on the computer. I find I have used Lahiri, and there are also equal number of cases where I have used KP Ayanamsha, the KP old Ayanamsha, which uses the value for the beginning of the year, that is January, whereas the new Ayanamsha uses from 1st of April. So I have used KPI and AMSHA, and I've still got correct answers, correct prediction. So to me, it is like our zodiac is a circle, and you can start from any point on
Any
the
point.
circle.
That is so beautiful to hear from you about this. That yeah, you can start from any point and you will never hit a corner. You'll always go in circle.
Exactly,
This is
exactly,
very
and
new and fresh to hear that it's all path will lead to one God. All
exactly,
method will lead
Kapil,
to same
exactly.
prediction. So use your
Yes,
KP knowledge with Lahiri if you're comfortable with it. Make predictions because you are
absolutely.
the matrix. You're part of the matrix, and whatever the matrix says, that is it.
Absolutely. You are 101% correct, Kapilji, in understanding this. And, I always tell my students, don't get dogmatic with, Ayanamsha or the house division, because we as astrologers means people who really respects and dedicates their life to this science, divine science. We as astrologers, we are chosen ones by a super soul or a god,
Mhm.
and he chooses someone to come to us to get an answer. The person is already coming with an answer. It's only our choice
Yeah,
how we are going to help him understand that answer. And
answer.
I say you go with that approach, and you will find everything is just happening.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you see, this is why I'm so glad you said this because now more people will be like, oh, okay, so now I don't have to be in that limbo state of confusion that, oh my God, now I have to switch Ayanamsha and now Saturn has gone to its other position. Okay, so now what do I do? What do I do? Because I try to, like, I have a great, brilliant astrologer abroad, Bharat Ram, he's a KP astrologer as well. I learned it from him beautifully. But when I'm trying to practice that, that just subconscious keeps fighting me. Like, stick to Lahiri, stick to Lahiri. Okay, I'm like, let me use KP though. But it's like an addiction, like alcohol addiction. People are
Exactly,
alcoholics. They're like they
exactly.
keep going back to that same thing. No
Yes,
matter how much they are rehabbed at the KP Institute of Rehabilitation, they
true.
keep going back to the Parashari Jack Daniel.
Yes, and more so here in India, it's like the guru has said to use this, and I am not listening to my guru. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of spiritual discomfort which comes. But I always say that the guru has given you something, you have accepted it. You are not rejecting, but if something deep inside you tells you to do it in a certain way, you do it,
You
because
do.
that's where you are giving full, you are allowing your spirituality to blossom. So allow your spirituality to come outside, because ultimately your spirit is going to analyze that birth chart, and you're going to just show him, or you're just going to interpret the language of the God to that gentleman or that lady who has come to you. So to answer your question in a single line, please feel free to use Lahiri Ayanamsha even when you're doing KP. And I know I'm saying this, it's really sacrilegious, because there'll be a host of
Oh, there are gonna
people.
be people with pitchforks and
Oh
trishuls in
yes,
front of your
oh
home.
yes,
Come
and
on
you're going
out, Dr. Andrew. We're waiting for you.
yes, and you're going to see all types of comments coming down there. But yes, I'm saying this with responsibility.
Beautiful.
This is my 20th year in KP astrology, 20th year, 2 decades, and I have seen with experience that both KP Ayanamsha as well as Lahiri Ayanamsha both give result. And so it's just with your faith in God, your faith in Ishta Devata, and your own conviction. It's like, it's like that movie scene in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Mhm.
Sees that there's a huge chasm between the Holy Grail and where he's standing. So he just closes his eyes and puts his foot, and immediately that bridge appears.
Absolutely. Because sometimes what can happen is a KPI Namcha can say that, okay, in 2019, July 20th, the marriage supposed to be happening, or in this week. The Lahiri or the Lahiri Parashri astrologer may say it's going to happen in July 15th, I believe.
Yes.
Both gave that prediction, but then marriage happens on the 18th. So you see how both were like, look, we're both giving you the right path. Mine was here, here, here. Yours has happened here. You're happy, right? Okay, that's it. That's all we're.
And when clients come, clients coming with, let's say, their daughter being unmarried for a long time. Daughter is 29 or 30 years, and which is quite an age here in Indian culture. So if the astrologer is able to tell that your daughter is going to get married next year around August, he is like happy. And when August or even July, his daughter's marriage happens, he goes on saying that astrologer is like God. Whatever he says is correct. He is not at all bothered whether it was July 21st,
21st or 18th. He's like, they told me July, it occurred. Okay, yes. I'm happy. You're happy. They're happy.
Exactly. If you are anywhere around 25 to 30-day range for an event to happen, real life clients are more than happy. They feel that they have been guided well.
Okay.
Hardly 1% would ever expect a precise date. That's a very good theoretical exercise, but in real life consulting, people are happy with maybe a 2-week or a month date range. Absolutely okay with
even if their daughter is not married for 35 years and you said it will happen in this 3 months period next year, even that is going to make them feel blessed and to be like, thank you so much. You didn't give them the date, but you showed them that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. And that's how beautifully Vedic astrology and KP astrology, both the systems are very powerful systems. I remember in 2007 in the Indian Council of Astrological Sciences in Secunderabad chapter, Dr. A.V. Sundaram, he invited me to speak on KP on an evening. And I said there that KP astrology is not at loggerheads with Vedic astrology. And it's a complete misconception. I don't know how it started. Okay, there was.
Yeah, I see a lot of KP astrologer insulting Parashri astrology and Parashri astrologer saying
exactly. Yes, and that has never been KSK's approach. KS Krishnamurti in his readers have been very emphatic that you must know a lot about Vedic astrology so that you can do my system well. And I can give you, at least half a dozen references where he has said these kind. And I said that in ICAS, that please understand this is just another helpful system. It is not a competing system. It's not that one is better than the other. Both are standing on their own footing and both are very beautiful systems. Somebody who knows one system will definitely get help in the other.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, I wanted to have you tell our audience about, your seminar that is coming up in May in Philadelphia.
Yes. So far, with God's blessing, things have worked out fine. So there I'm going to take a complete learning lab, even more than a workshop, because it's a learning lab. I would like to call it as a learning lab where people are going to experiment themselves with charts and they are going to learn how to exactly churn out a prediction. So it's going to be a complete, thorough teaching session that is going to happen for KP. And also there is going to be another workshop, which is going to be the first of its kind, which I'm doing first time also, is how to do gem therapy and gem remedies.
Okay.
Because so many times we see that in a horoscope, certain things are given. And it is like destiny. Okay, but as I have said in my gem video course, that there is a difference between destiny, which is bhagya. There is a difference between destiny and fate. Fate is bhavitavya, so destiny and fate are not the same thing. And then there is free will, which is purushakar. So one must understand how destiny and fate, how they interact, and where is the role of purushakar. So many a times in the horoscope, we find that somebody is having a certain trouble, and it's the horoscope which only says how to get rid of that trouble. So there are various ways, like mantra is there, mantra chanting, knowing your Ishta Devata and doing the worship. There are yantrams, which are based on tantric astrology. There are rudrakshas, and then there are gems. Gems are the easiest, but yes, they are the costliest means of doing things, but very easy and very quick in its effects. So wearing gems help people to change that fate. Destiny cannot be changed, but fate can be changed.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting you said, because many people who come to me, even when I was doing wearing gems, the astrologer will say, "Oh, I will change your destiny. This will, or this is not going to happen. This will happen." So, what is the difference then, that fate of that destiny versus when doing any kind of like a remedy?
Okay. Okay, the conceptualization which I'm giving you, it is from my maternal great-grandfather's conceptualization, late Surendranath Jyotir Bachaspati. So he conceptualized this a little bit, and I kind of a little bit built on it. And this is completely our family's understanding. Last 120 years, this is the way how we have been operating
Okay.
with gems and various other remedies. Destiny is like an enclosure. It is like a very big cage, which is a given condition in your life. So destiny are the 9 planetary combinations which gives you that big enclosure. You can never get out of that enclosure. It can be a square enclosure, it can be a rectangular, it can be a polygonal enclosure, but it's an enclosure. Now, what is there inside the enclosure, whether there is an apple tree or whether there is a mango tree or there is a pond, these are the fate. You may not like the apple tree to be on the western corner. You may want to uproot that apple tree and put it to the northern corner. So what is there is the fate, which can be changed. Whether, so it can be changed within that enclosure, but if you do not have a, let's say, a mahogany tree, you cannot get a mahogany tree from outside because that's not part of your enclosure. It's not part of your destiny. So destiny is the large enclosure. Fate are all those things inside the enclosure. Now, the free will is whether
To
you
change it,
choose to
put it on
close
east
the
direction
pot.
or west direction.
Yes, to
Kind of
close the
like
pot and
you're
open the pot
destined
another way.
to get a car. You're destined to get a, let's say, Toyota. You
Right,
want a Mercedes Benz.
right.
No, you can only get a Toyota, but you have the fate and the free will to choose. Do you want a red color, white color, or black color Toyota? But that's it. You cannot get a Mercedes Benz.
You are very correct in understanding. I would just add on to that saying that in your enclosure, if you have a car, it's not about having a Toyota car or a Mercedes Benz. Your fate within your enclosure, there is your fate of getting a car, a four-wheeler, a car. It is now your free will, Purusha car, whether you're going to work very hard and make that Toyota into a good Mercedes Benz, or you would say, okay, look, I already have a fate of car. The best car that comes my way, I'm going to take it. And that's where, hard work matters. That's where effort matters. And that's the beauty of Western astrology that I like, that people believe that there are choices. Yes, there are choices, but choices are there within that enclosure.
Within that enclosure.
So yes, choices are there. So our family in last 220 years, the first thing that we assess in a horoscope is what is that enclosure? What is the size of that enclosure? What's the quality of that enclosure? What is there inside the enclosure? And then how handicapped is the person to exercise his free will? There is a very common saying in West Bengal, my hometown, that some people have a leaf covering their fate. You just blow it and the leaf goes away and their fate opens up. Some have stones on their fate. You really need a bomb to blow it away.
Yeah.
Which means that some people will do the smallest of remedies and get biggest of result. Some people will do huge amount of remedies and get little result. It's all a function of the kind of enclosure they are in, and what is there in the enclosure, and how much of Purushakar or free will they are giving. So destiny, fate, and free will, three works together. But this has been the philosophical understanding in our family, and with very humbly I'm saying we have changed innumerable lives. Right now when I'm speaking with you, there is a scientist who works in DRDO, that is Defense Research Department. They make rockets for India, and he was married for 10 years. 4 IVF failed for his wife. They took gemstones, and May first week his wife is going to deliver a child.
Wow.
So 10 years of marriage, no children, 4 IVF have failed. Sometime if I ever meet with you personally, I'll share that horoscope, you will see. And so the enclosure, his enclosure had the chances of child. You know, the seed was already there. He was not knowing where is that seed. He did not know which fertilizer to put, how much of water to put. So the astrological remedies have come to his rescue, where he has now been able to grow that tree. Okay. So remedies are not magical. It's only knowing where to do what.
And where did this remedy of gemstone started? Because I know it wasn't mentioned in Parashara Hora Shastra. Where did this first originated that, okay, we have to link gems with the planets? Do you have that background, or just through generation you just have learned about the gems?
Very honestly speaking, Kapilji, in astrological texts, Parashar Hora or Kalyan Varma's Saravali, there are only mentions about the 9 gems for the 9 planets, but there is no mention of what purpose the gems should be used for. But in the in I think chapter 87, if I'm not wrong, maybe chapter, yeah, if I'm not wrong, I may be wrong also. In Parashar Hora Shastra, there is the Upaya section. I think chapter 87 onwards, a complete Upaya section where it discusses a lot of Upayas, where gem is just one mention. He has just mentioned the gem. Frankly, there is no original source which tells us which way or what combination of gems should be used. I just feel lucky that I was born in a family which has an accumulated experience of 200 plus years, where my maternal great grandfather has documented all the effects. My mother's uncle documented the effects. My mother was a very famous practitioner in Calcutta. She documented the effects. So I am like, I have just got it from my family source that, okay, these combinations work well. These combinations work well. So wow. It's just like, had I been a self-made astrologer, I would have had by now only 20 years of experimentation in gems. Many people would have wasted money with me, and I would have wasted a lot of my goodwill in that process.
Mm-hmm.
I am just lucky to have, some better guys than me, my maternal great grandfather and mother and all those guys. They have already done their experimentation and research, and I have something in me which I would be sharing in that conference in Philadelphia, in Sellersburg, and that's it. So honestly speaking, there is really no original source with which we can check back, but it's all based out of an astrologer's own experience, his guru's experience, and that's
You've
how it
got a
really.
parampara coming. I mean, like the Raman parampara, that's your
Yes,
lineage. Wow.
yes. To a large extent, it's like my guru found this helpful for people, so I'm also going to do that.
So
You know,
you've got some lot of hidden Pandora box in there. You got a box of secrets, I see. The parampara secret. Now we gotta take you out to
I'm
dinner.
going to reveal a lot. I'm going to reveal a lot over there. Like, I'm going to reveal in a way how people can take in, because too much of fertilizer burns the soil.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give people, because this is not a one-time affair. I told Simonji that this is where we are making a good beginning in the US,
Yeah.
and we can build a very good foundation there, and we can do things that will help Americans to better their lives, because I consider my second home as America, because I was a sponsored child in my school from two American families. So up to class 8, my schooling was entirely financed by two American families, two American Christian families. So I consider that I have some karmic duties and my karmic debt towards America. So it's just like my second home. It's a second motherland for me.
Absolutely. Wow, this is beautiful. Now, my final question is, if somebody wants to get a consultation from you, reading from you, where can they go?
Uh, I have that website of mine, kpastrologeronline.com.
Okay.
But last 2 months, I have put up the notice that I'm not taking in any new consulting, because my hands are so full with orders, and
Hey, that's a blessing.
yeah, really, thanks to God. And there are so many people who come to my home, and I can't refuse them. So they can check my website, but they just need to wait for some more months before I.
Now you're gonna need a security guard.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna need security. You're gonna be booked by 2 years now. So people, you better get it now. You better start showing up to his home now.
So maybe after 2 or 3 months, or maybe once I'm back from the US, I'm going to once again open up my order taking process. So right now I've just put up a notice that please don't pay. Please wait for some time. So maybe another 3 months I'm going to open up that.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, and Dr. Andrew, for coming. This was a delight, beautiful delight. Thank you so much, and I'm hoping to have you more.
And thank you so much, Kapilji. It has been a fantastic interaction with you. Talking with someone, you can feel that vibe, you can feel that energy and frequency. I really loved talking with you, because I felt honestly, I felt a very positive energy talking with you.
Absolutely. We're just two kids in a candy store of the cosmos. We're just having fun. That's it. No ego, nothing.
Yes.
We're just out here discussing astrology and just like consuming everything we can like little kids. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely, Kapilji. It was fantastic talking with you, and there in US, I really hope to.
Yes, I'm hoping to meet you too. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dattaji.
It will be wonderful. And once your video is live, just send me a link so that I can see.
Yes. I will put this up next week. I think Monday or Tuesday, like next week, I'll put this up.
And thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk with you, because I have also felt very nice. So my happiness. So
absolutely, this was meant to be. I'm very happy to bring you on.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this beautiful opportunity, Kapilji.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
You
Bye-bye.
too.